it's Sam again from Rainbow Stitches. Today I'm going to be doing something that's kind of emotional for me, so if I stumble over my words, that's why. I'm trying to keep a happy face. I'm making a T-shirt quilt. It is with my dad's shirts, and he passed away, what was it, like 8 months ago now? It feels like a couple of weeks ago. Anyways, my mom picked out some fabric and I'm making a T-shirt quilt for her with his shirts. So obviously this can apply to anyone's T-shirts. It doesn't have to be a memorial quilt. I made a design for it. I'm going to show you the shirts that I have and all the stuff that you're going to need. And then I'll show you the design. Let's get rolling with it. It should be pretty simple. So if you're just looking to showcase the t-shirts and not do anything wicked with the design, this might be the design for you. Let me show you. Before we get too into this, I kind of wanted to show you the design that I'm shooting for. If I can pick it all up. So I was going to do 72 by 90, but the way I designed it, those last 3 inches are just going to get cut off. So every block that I've got is 3 inches, and I always like to write that kind of in the legend up top. So I'm going to have 9 shirts basically that I'm going to use, and I'll have 6 inches below, 6 inches above, 9 inches on each side, 9 inches in between. And I don't know why I do everything in multiples of 3, but 3 seems to be my lucky number, so I use it a lot. So this is the design that we're going to work off of. Like I said, let me cut up my interfacing, and I'll show you how to cut your t-shirts so that you can fuse them properly. Okay, so these are the things that I've got that we're going to need. Obviously, you'll still need your scissors, rotary cutter, other rulers, stuff like that. Here are his shirts. I have 7 shirts. 2 of them I'm kind of going to use both sides, so technically 9. Trusty basting spray, this is my favorite. This is going to be the front that my mom picked out, and then that's the color for the back, and we'll probably use that for the binding too. This is the square that I use to cut all my t-shirts. It's 12.5 by 12.5. This is called Heat and Bond. Pellin brand. It's the fusible featherweight 911FF. And at my local fabric store, they're the ones that always have pink on the cardboard that goes inside. And then since this is not going to a baby, I get Quilter's 80-20. It's 80% cotton, 20% poly. So, unfortunately, since it's not the hard, more expensive cotton that I use for baby quilts, I can only go up to 4 inches apart. Zoom in on that for you. It's going to be a thin quilt, which is what my mom wants. There's all my materials, and first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to use / put on this fusible interfacing. Basically, on this side, I don't know if you can see, it's got these little white dots. They're actually glue. And then on this side, it's just normal interfacing. So you're going to iron it on so that when you go to sew a t-shirt, you don't get any stretch. Because you may know or you might not, if you try and sew stretchy fabric, it can be quite a pain, especially if you're not extremely careful about the pulling. So I just don't do it. Let me get my ironing station all set up and get some pieces. Since we're going to be cutting 12.5 by 12.5 out of the shirts, I'm going to make my pieces of fusible interfacing 13 by 13. So I'll cut out 9 pieces of 13 by 13, and then I'll show you how we get the shirts ready. Alright, so I messed up with calculations. I started to cut all the interfacing, and it turns out I had exactly enough for 7 for this quilt. So I've got the orange/red marking as to where the t-shirts will be, and then I've calculated how big these pieces are that need to go around it. So this is still going to be a 72 by 90, a twin size quilt, and I want to show you, like, on the sides, I have this listed length times width, right? So it's 12.5, because even though this shows that it's 12 inches, you have to equate for the 1/4 inch that you're going to lose on each side when you sew it to the next piece. This is 1/4 because you're only sewing right here. This is the edge of the quilt. You don't want to do 9.5 and then you've got an extra 1/4 inch of width over here that you have to even up later. So this one is 12.5 by 9.5 because you're sewing it to something on all 4 sides. Hence, you're losing a 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. That's an extra 1/2 inch for all those pieces. So there's all that. I've got all my interfacing cut. I'm going to show you how to line that up on a t-shirt, how to cut it, all that good stuff, iron on the interfacing. Give me just a second here and let me bring you over to the iron. So the very first thing I would suggest that you do is kind of map out your design. And I keep this ruler over here while I'm doing this so that I can do just that. This is going to be basically what I cut out, right? So I'm going to take my scissors and cut around this about an inch, maybe 1/2 inch away from this ruler. And if you're using a shirt that has a design on the back that you want to use, make sure that you do not do this on both sides, because I'm cutting through both layers of fabric right now. And since we're doing this, it'll give us kind of a better control as to where the interfacing is going to go. And see, I just bumped my ruler, but I'm going so far away from where that ruler is, it doesn't matter. Right, we can just pull this off, put it to the side, and pull out the back part of the shirt because we don't need both. And yes, I have an ironing board on top of an ironing board. That's just because I wanted a bigger surface. And all I had was this tiny one. So you're going to lay down your interfacing, feel it, make sure that your bumpy side or your glue dots is facing up. And then put this down on top of it, kind of centered. Do not stretch this shirt. Smooth it out, but do not stretch. And then I've got my iron turned all the way up and on the steam setting. So let me go in a corner and make sure that it's actually going to work. Basically, what you're doing over this is the heat is going to activate those glue dots. And I know it says hold the heat on. Like when you get interfacing, it'll have instructions wrapped around it. It says to hold the heat on for 10 seconds. Be very careful when you're doing this on top of vinyl. In fact, I like to give it a once over to kind of start the initial bonding process, and then flip it and do the back side. Go nice and steady. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but for me, I can start to see these little dots disappearing. See down here how we've got a super populated amount of dots? And then up here where it is clearly stuck, I don't hardly have any dots. I know that's hard to see on camera, sorry. But basically you'll go around until you can't do this with your interfacing anymore. So give it a light press on the front side, long press on the back. And like I said, I do this on high heat with steam. And then after you've got all that put down, I like to go to the front, try to pull on the corners and see how it's not coming off. Down here, it is coming off. So I need to apply more heat down there. I'm going to do this with all 7 of my shirts, and then I'll show you how we get them squared up. Alright, I've got all 7 shirts fused, all done. I've got my 12 by 12 square and rotary cutter. Yes, the blade is on, the cover is on the blade, so getting this close to my face, I'm not that worried about it. I'm going to show you how to cut these so that you can maximize the amount that you're getting, and just some key points I want to show you. So obviously what we don't want to do is cut all of these at once. Let me scoot these down. And I'll show you on this one because this is one that I could not get all of the graphic on there. I think the bottom of the shirt came to like here and then had some more text beyond it. So I had to get the main focal point, which was these trees and Panama City. And if you can't tell by the theme of these shirts yet, I'll just show you. This one has a swordfish on it and says Roatan. My parents are scuba divers. They love going to the beach and diving together. And these are the shirts that she picked to go in this quilt. So, since this square is what you're going to be cutting, you want to do your best to kind of center this block, right? And then I just like to square it up. Alright, so this is one of the shirt blocks. Now that it's nice and cut and square and pretty, you're going to put it away. So this is the one that I wanted to show you. It's kind of a big graphic. When I put my ruler on it, not all of it's going to fit. And you have to consider you're going to lose this top 1/4 inch and this side 1/4 inch when we sew it together, right? So I think with this one, what I'm going to have to do in order to get it's all fin and games, like in order to get the whole top graphic, I'm going to have to cut out where it says until someone loses an arm. So we'll do this, and I want this black part to be kind of centered. I know I'm not going to get the whole nose or the whole tail of this shark. So this looks pretty good. A couple tweaks. Let me slice it up. Be ungodly careful if you're going to go towards your arm like I am right now. I would say if you're not a seasoned vet at doing that, just turn your fabric. Or you can get one of those rotating mats. So there's the next one. And see how I had to kind of cut some pieces off to get it squared up? But like I said, I'm going to lose this top 1/4 inch. So when you see it in the quilt, it's going to look more like this. So you see what I mean? How I had that add that extra brown in there. And then this next one, I wanted to show you because this is one of the ones that you want to make sure that it's level, otherwise it's going to look crazy. So if I just threw this square on there, if you look close, kind of looks level, right? Right? However, it is not. This is one of the ones where you want to be particular on making sure, not necessarily that this is in the middle, because if you put it here, it would still make sense and be okay. However, if your ruler is like this, then when you cut it, it's going to look super wonky, and if that's the look you're going for, then great. It is not the look that I am going for. So I'm going to make sure that I've got same width at least on this each side. And that looks almost flat. Is anyone else a perfectionist or just me? So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna hold this down because I have rubber feet on my ruler. Holding this down. It shouldn't go anywhere, but pardon the tiny toddler noises in the background. So once you look at it, now it looks pretty flat and level, right? It's probably hard to see because I'm picking it up. But it's as good as it's gonna get. And I'm obviously gonna need to get a lint roller here. So let me do the rest of the shirts and then we'll start cutting the fabric for these surrounding pieces. So all the white that's on the paper. Alright, I have everything cut for what pieces they need to be, and I labeled them. So I'm going to set those to the side and show you the next part that needs to kind of be planned out before you start sewing. So here is how my shirts are laid out according to the plan. I kind of played with the colors to make sure we have somewhat of a balance. I know the white's going to blend in, but I don't want to put it in the middle because then you've got like this gray one over here. Anyways, this is the best way that I found to lay it out as per the diagram. So, again, backing fabric. This is all the fabric that I had left after I cut the surrounding pieces for the front. Basically, I'm going to sew this row together, and then I'm going to sew this piece and this piece to it. Then I'm going to sew this row, then this piece and this piece to it, and then basically make them all together. I'm going to speed through everything just so it's one of those nice, calm, relaxing videos. So basically, it's all piecing. Right? And you're just going to follow the diagram. I can try and do an Adobe PDF of it if you want it. Like, maybe I'll just take a picture and put it in the comments section. Whatever you want, let me know. So let's get piecing. Whole top all done. Is it how I would have designed it with fabric choices and everything? No. I would have gone smaller, and I made a different design for these t-shirts. But my mom wanted a twin size, and she wanted this fabric for the front, so is it the way I would have done it? No. Is it exactly the way my mom wants it, since this is for my mom? Yes. Is that what is important? Yes. So I wanted to show you that I actually put all my sticky notes on my grid to show me which ones I've done, what ones I haven't done, kind of like a checklist. I also wanted to take this opportunity to say, obviously this quilt was super simple. It only took me a few hours to cut everything, put it all together, and get the top done, and technically I got the back sewn together. I have yet to baste it, quilt it, and bind it, and I will do that in the next video. But I wanted to take a second to tell you that, you know, grieving the loss of somebody that you cared a lot about is extremely normal, important. Everybody has their own way of going through grief. If you find yourself not handling grief as well as you think you should, or, you know, gosh, even probably not that. If you're grieving someone, you might want to consider seeing a therapist, and there's nothing weak about therapy. It works. I highly suggest it. There was obviously a lot of tears that happened while I was doing this quilt today, but I think it's really important to let those emotions out and be seen. It is okay to grieve. If this quilt isn't a memorial quilt and you have a bunch of school shirts and your kid's graduating high school and you want to put all their shirts in a quilt and give it to them for their graduation, perfect. I just want to let everyone basically know that if this is a memorial quilt for you like it is for me, I highly suggest that you take your time, breathe your way through it, and find someone that can help you cope with grief and loss in a healthy way. Okay? That's one of the uses of quilting and sewing for me. I feel like it's a good outlet. It's therapy. That's why Whip Wednesdays are therapy sessions for me. And I hope the nice, calming, relaxing music while I'm speeding through the parts of this that you don't necessarily need to watch step by step, like me piecing all this together. I hope that's nice and relaxing for you. And I hope you find time to really, you know, think about what you need to be working on next. Go over your day in your head. Maybe start the process of going through something that you need to get out, I guess. Anyways, I really appreciate you watching these videos. I will see you guys next time for getting this quilted. We're going to do some free motion quilting next time. And then, like I said, I'll probably baste it and make my quilt sandwich off camera. That way we can just get right into the free motion next time. Like I said, thanks for dropping by. See you next time.